Regular scheduled meeting of the Oscoda Township Board for July 22nd, 2024 to order. Welcome everyone here tonight. If we could begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cummings?
Here.
Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Mr. Teaser?
Present.
Mr. Sutton here. Mr. Wusterbar?
Present.
Mr. Palmer?
Here. Next order of business I'd like to bring up is I'd like to congratulate Ms. McGuire on her birthday today. I guessed her age to be 45. She said that was close enough, so we'll go with that.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Next is the agenda. Does anyone have any additions, corrections?
I sent out one this afternoon. I had asked Tammy a couple times for the cost recovery, what the update on that, if we have anything as far as what we've collected or what we've billed. I know I've asked a couple months ago, so I just reached out to the fire chief and his staff to get the information, so I wanted to present it tonight.
Okay.
It's going to be coming up on our next budget work session. I believe the fire department will be next.
Yeah, that's under other.
Yep.
I had two that I wanted to add. I sent out a email with a packet from our recruiter for the new superintendent position, and they didn't get it in on Friday in time to get in the packet, so I sent a copy of that out to everyone. The only thing we need to approve today is the salary range that we sort of talked about at the work session, but it needs to be approved by the board. So I'd like to do that tonight. And the other item I'd like to have is to try and set the next budget work session, hopefully within the next week or two, as soon as we can. Try to get this budget wrapped up at some point. And like Ms. McGuire said, the next part of that will be the police and fire, I believe. So we can try and pick a date in the next week or two to get that done. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda with additions?
Bill, do you want to include the extra work that they proposed in the letter for development of a job description? Is that part of, or do you want it, or do we not need that?
When I talked to him, the only thing he said he really needed right now was for us to approve the salary range so they can put the proposal out there.
All right.
And we can talk a little bit more about what was in that packet that I sent out when we get to that point. So there are a couple items I can bring up. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the additions?
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda item additions.
Support Cummings.
I have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbar?
Yes.
Mr. Teaser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next on the agenda is the first public comment period. We ask you to fill out a card, and this can be talk about anything that's on the agenda for this evening. Do we have any cards?
Yes, we have Mary Ed Tootin.
Okay. And if you would state your name when you get to the podium, please, so for the record.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ed Tootin. I live in Oscoda, and full disclosure, I am running for trustee on the township board. First thing I'd like to discuss this evening is the extension of the superintendent's contract. It is not at all transparent from the materials included in the packet why this is being asked for. It's not at all transparent. And it's also undoubtedly unnecessary. And while I realize that the makeup of this board is going to ensure that her contract is extended, I would like to remind you all that the election is in 2 weeks. Please vote accordingly. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the Community Development Director's report. I had a discussion with Nancy at the last EIC meeting that I was under the impression that we needed to be part of Develop by Osco in order to enjoy the benefits through Target Alpena. That turned out not to be the case. So I just wanted to say that. That being said, I would like to see us join Develop by Osco, but I guess that is a question for another day. And then the third thing that I wanted to mention is that under subcommittee reports and project updates, Mr. Worsterbarth has not been part of the Cedar Lake Improvement Board since he resigned 3 months ago. So could we please get that updated? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other cards?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have the meeting minutes from the July 8th regular township meeting, and we have finances, prepaids for July 23rd in the amount of $29,068.24, and the check run from July 16th, $67,982.40, and the June 30th investment report. Any questions, concerns on that? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support Sutton.
Motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Worsterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes?
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Teaser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next are subcommittee reports and project updates. Mr. Freeman.
Good evening. The C2 funded water main projects, Phase 6. As I reported last month, the contractor has moved on to installing water services and the capping of wells. We have, the number keeps changing, but we have 96 properties that have signed up for water services. 9 of them had rejected it, and as of this date, we've had 21 of those have been connected. So we're working through that as we speak. Phase 7, we have a pre-construction meeting with Caterman Trucking on that on Wednesday. We have 31 responses so far, 26 yes, 5 no, but of those 5 no's, 2 of them actually are already hooked up and 1 was a vacant lot. So, and we've seen some of that we've got. Obviously, trying to identify the properties was a little difficult, so we anticipate that kind of going through, that we're going to have more that are either actually hooked up or they might be vacant lots. So, but we'll be getting Phase 7 underway here shortly. The 2024 DWRF program, the water system improvements, as of the last meeting, Schaff and Associates is the tentative award. We're finalizing the loan and grant paperwork with Eagle at this time, and I'm in the process of getting ready to submit the first disbursement request as soon as we close on the loan, which will basically pick up all the design costs, planning costs, and all of that up to the point of construction. So, and I'm hoping that closing will be late August so that we could get that reimbursement request into Eagle and get that turned back around to the township as quickly as possible. The EPA community grant, I believe me and the EPA grant coordinator have settled on the work plan and the tentative schedule. Schedule will still depend on some of the approval process, but tentative schedule of getting this thing out to bid this fall. And also, we're working on now the request that they waive the local match. What I did was I actually showed that the loans and stuff that we've got for the DWRF project, which is generally in the same area, should cover that local match. So he's working with me through that right now. Sanitary sewer projects, same as the drinking water projects. Elmer's Crane was the pump station and sewer portion of the project. RCL Construction has the treatment facility work out at the lagoons, and Merrill Brothers will be doing the sludge removal, and once again finalizing that loan and grant agreement with Eagle, and also putting together the first disbursement request for that project also. Pump Station 8, which is going to be the priority project once we get that project notice to proceed. But the Pump Station 8, based on the requests at a previous board meeting, John Henry has got the temporary pumping operation up and running, and we've ordered the pump. I don't think we have a delivery date on that yet, but Pump Station 8 is functioning as best as it can right now. So, Ratliff Park, I just received on Friday the preliminary plans for the upgrades to Warrior Pavilion, the restroom, and the site improvements. Have not had a chance to look at those yet, but I'll be taking a look at those, getting comments back to WTA, and getting that project moving towards advertising and bidding sometime this fall. Whole Island, submitted to the trust fund, the MDNR Trust Fund Board, the boundary survey, the legal description, the 40-year title research, and the environmental due diligence that we were required to put together on that. They're in the process of reviewing that, and as soon as they are in agreement with that, we can proceed towards the appraisal process, and we're still waiting on the governor's office to officially award the project to the township. I believe it's went through the legislature, we're just waiting on the governor's office. Phase 3 trail, in tonight's Rose invoices is the final invoice for that. And then I've got to submit the final paperwork to the trust fund to get the final reimbursement for the grants back on that. Everything else, continuing with F&B operations on water service line issues as they crop up. Water loss investigation, we're going to be setting up a meeting with Emmy Simpson, and we're going to focus on the air base, the former Wordsmith Air Base area, being the oldest water mains that are in the ground, oldest services in the ground, and then also, as part of the DWRF project, we have a significant portion of that is going to be for putting in new hydrants and eliminating hydrants. So we want to get through with Emmy Simpson on some of that, so we got a better understanding of if we've got any significant issues with the hydrants and stuff out there as far as water loss. And we're still working with John Henry out on River Road to identify that. He's got a couple of the locations excavated, and we're still trying to verify exactly kind of what's going on. And then I have included, I was conservative in my write-up, is additional work through the EPA grant to handle anything working around that meter pit and such with Oscoda Township out there to clean that up if we need to. So, and essentially that's my report.
Okay.
Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Rick? I just had one quick question. The homeowners that chose not to hook up at this time?
Yes.
How much time do they have under the grant program to be able to change their mind if they wanted to and have it done without cost.
Well, technically, what we did is, some of the ones through, except for even Phase 6 ones that did not sign up, we sent them another notice as part of Phase 7. So technically, we have until December 31st, 2025. That's the expiration of the grant. Like to try to get most of them hooked up that want to by the end of this year, but more likely than not, we'll still have a few that will be jumping on board next year. We've got to figure out exactly how we're going to do that contract-wise, because I'm not sure if Caterman is going to want to sit around and wait for residents. So I'm going to be working with the Eagle coordinator that we have as far as how we can do some of those stragglers that'll come in next year. So.
Okay, I know there's a requirement under the grant that we have a certain percentage that signs up, but we've easily met
We've
that.
far exceeded that. Yep.
Yeah,
So
I'm just concerned with people that, at this time, for whatever reason, don't want to hook up to it, and then down the road several years, they say, well, yeah, I'd like to get hooked up, and then they come into the township and say, well, everybody else hooked up for free, how come I have to pay? Well, once the grant is expired, that's it. Then you're on your own, so.
yeah, we will be putting out probably early next year a notice to that the grant is expiring at the end of the calendar year 2025, and the free hookup, free well capping and all that stuff will go away as of that grant closing out, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is the airport report. That would be me. We had a meeting last week. The airport is investigating. There is some federal grant money that they're looking at. They're working with Mead and Hunt to acquire some federal grant funding to build a new airport terminal out on the base. There's a number of different things that are going on with that. They have to decide on the size of the terminal they want to have. It will probably be a smaller building than what they currently have. But as you know, the building the airport that's there now is pretty old. It came from the Air Force. So they're looking to update that, and it's the cost right now, what they're looking at is approximately $3.4 million. But there is federal grant funding that's available for that. The other two things I wanted to mention is that August 4th through the 16th is what they call Northern Strike will be here in town. That's the Air National Guard. They will be coming in and doing exercises. It's this year's focus is on combating a takeover of the base. So there could be some special ops that will be coming in. They could have some night operations they'll be doing. You may see some unusual aircraft in the area. Last year they had a big helicopter that was over Lake Van Enten for a period of time. It was kind of cool to see that. So you may see some different aircraft in the area between August 4th and the 16th. They will be doing training and so forth out at the base. They'll be setting up tents, and the troops will be staying there for that time. And then on August 16th, 17th, and 18th, the Sports Car Club of America will be in town again, and they set up a course out there, and they do time trials, all different kinds of vehicles. I went out and watched it for a while. It was pretty interesting. They have everything from these super go-karts to sports cars, race cars, all types of cars they have out there, and they race around a set-up course, and they time them, and it's pretty fun to watch them go through that. So I would invite everybody to come on, take a look at that. And that's my report. Next, Planning Commission, Mr. Taser.
Yes, the Planning Commission met on July the 1st. At that meeting, we appointed our representative to the Economic Improvement Committee, that would be Mr. Tim O'Connor, and our representative to the Zoning Board of Appeals, that's Mr. Matt Cleary. We also discussed the short-term rental, about fixing a number. We are sending that number here to this board. As a side note on that, Tawas allows 30, and our number was, at present time, was 40. So I just want to point that out. And the Planning Commission also discussed subcommittees for the Master Plan Subcommittee and the Ordinance Review, and the grant that we received for finishing up the rezoning amendments for the 165 zoning amendment. So we're putting that plan together and get that action done. That would consist of the residential areas that haven't been reviewed yet. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Next is ZBA, Mr. Spencer.
Still no ZBA meeting, so nothing to report there.
Okay. LDFA, Ms. McGuire.
I don't have much either, except for the fact that it's almost that time of year to renew the people on the LDFA. So I'll be needing to work with, I think, Josh, right, for resolutions for those positions to be renewed?
Yes.
Okay. That's really all I have.
Okay, thank you. Next is the EIC, Mr. Sutton.
At our EIC meeting, we discussed the annual meeting of the boards and set a tentative date that we're working on with all the other boards to get in place. And we also had our first meeting with our new Community Development Director, Nancy House, which was amazing. And I'm not going to steal thunder because you will get a report from her this evening. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. The 911 Board, Mr. Spencer.
The last 911 board meeting was canceled, so I have to wait for the next one.
Okay. HUSRA Board, Ms. Klein.
So our last HUSRA board meeting was July 2nd, where we approved the seal coating of the parking lot and the driveway. We also approved pump rebuild, the low service pump rebuild, the Lincoln Street pump rebuild, and the backwash pump rebuild. Those were all approved to Detroit Pump.
Okay, thank you. Next is the RAB, Mr. Cummings.
Yeah, hi. So since our last meeting, the end of June, when the update was provided by you, actually, Mr. Palmer, and once again, thank you for covering for me on that previous meeting with the RAB. There's been no emails from the Air Force, and I'm unaware of any meetings between the township and the Air Force. So I think there's nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Next is the Cedar Lake Improvement Board, Ms. Klein.
Okay, so the CLIB meeting was last Friday, the 19th. We did a review of all the old business, which there's quite a bit, including the Solitude contract. We reviewed the audit update. They're currently in the process of having an audit done. They did find a couple of things, but nothing major. So that should be wrapped up by their next meeting, which is, I believe, in October. And we had approved the draft, not a draft response to the township's letter, but what the intent was from the township, what information was being requested. I explained that the letter from the township wanted answers regarding the allegations that were brought forward. So Mr. Vaughn will be working on that for the October meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next, the Utility Subcommittee meeting. Subcommittee, Mr. Wustbrock.
We'll be meeting Monday to go through the recommendations with Superintendent and Mr. Freeman on our RFP for services and also an update on water loss activities.
All right, thank you. Community Development Director, Ms. House.
Hi there.
Hi.
As you can tell, I've been a little busy. And the first order of business was to get the EIC annual report ready from last year and get it to the board and to the community. You will note that in my report, I mentioned that we were looking at the date of August 13th for the meeting of the boards, but I don't think that's going to jive with your calendar or the other boards. So we'll come back at our August meeting with a different date, if that's okay with the board. The corridor improvement project, you'll see in this week's Oscoda Press, you'll see the first of 2 ads announcing the public hearing. That will be on August 26th at 6:30, I believe. 6:30. So you'll see that. Posters announcing that will started to go out to the community, and they'll be posted throughout the community at prominent places. Also, all the residents, anybody who owns property within the corridor will receive a notice of the annual meeting, the public hearing, so that they will know when it is and the time and the place. One of the things that I've really wanted to work on and get going is the EIC website and the subsite. You can have the greatest development plan in the world, but if you can't get it out to the public, nobody knows about it. So I was really excited to see the board's action with Revise on a subsite, and that's on my project list, my to-do list, as a matter of fact. As I'm sure you're aware, the state of Michigan recently passed the 2025 fiscal year budget, and there is a ton of money in there available for development and revitalization of communities. And I was talking with somebody the other day about, and it was mentioned, well, you know, the other parts of the state, they get greedy for their areas, you know, the southern part of the state or the western side. And my comeback was, we need to start getting greedy on this side of the state too. And, well, I'll do my best. That's what I can say. I've done some training already. I went to an amazing conference. Ms. Tootin was there also over in Gaylord. Tomorrow there's a Zoom meeting from 1 to 3 through Michigan State University, so I'll be doing that one. It seems like every piece of paper or every report I pick up, I gain about 10 other duties. So what I'm doing is going through the play sleep, the strategic plan, the social district, the master plan, and charting that all out so that at the next EIC meeting, I can share with everyone what it is we're supposed to be doing and our timelines on that also. One of the things I'd like to see us start to do is the 2024 RRC survey that we didn't do last year for various reasons, but we need to do for this year to make sure we stay within our RRC certification. Housing is a big deal with me, and I'm working on trying to get developers and see what I can put together for a stakeholders meeting, possibly later in the fall. I want to be visible to the community. In your job description for this position, you said one of the main, in fact, the first thing on the list was being visible. So I'm getting out there, I'm visiting with businesses, with organizations, and listening. Because someone very wise once told me that it's better to hear than to be heard. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to switch hats here for a minute because I've always said I'm like a cheerleader for Oscoda. Don't forget the Iosco County Fair is this week. Come to the Antiques Department, that's my department. We have 122 exhibits. And also Saturday, and I think the board has already been invited, this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock at the Wordsmith Air Museum. It's a free day because we are unveiling the restructured monument that was placed in front of the 379th Bomb Wing headquarters. And it's really cool. And it's a free week, it's a free day that day, no admission. thank you to the board for an opportunity to work for the community. And any questions? Okay, thank you.
For all the hard work.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
All right. Next is our superintendent report. Ms. Klein?
Okay. Our first report item will be the following listed invoices from Rowe Engineering for services rendered. These invoices require Township Board approval.
Okay. First up is row invoice 114066. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve invoice number 114,066, C2R2 Phase 6, in the amount of $20,333 even, to be paid from the C2R2 funds after reimbursement is available, or if the funds are currently available.
Support, Cummings.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes?
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is invoice 114070.
I would make a motion to approve invoice number 114,070 in the amount of $7,840 for the 2024 Oscoda Township DWSRF to be paid from the 2024 DWSRF checking account.
Support, Worcester Barth.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Wurstabarth. Any discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is invoice 114071.
I would make a motion to approve invoice number 114,071 in the amount of $80,636.73 to be paid from for the 2024 Oscoda Township CWSRF to be paid from the 2024 CWSRF checking account.
Support, Sutton.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next, invoice 114072.
I would make a motion to approve invoice number 114,072 for the 2023 EPA grant in the amount of $19,290 even to be paid from the 2023 EPA checking account.
Support, Cummings.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is invoice 114080.
I would make a motion to approve invoice number 114,080 for as-needed services in the amount of $3,485 even to be paid from account 101-000-720.439.
Support, Sutton.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the road services contract.
All right, our second item in my report is a proposal from Rowe Engineering for administration and observation services for the upcoming 2024 CWSRF projects. This proposal will provide the township with oversight and administration on 3 CWSRF projects, including pump station rehabilitation, the creation of the wastewater PFAS treatment facility, and replacement of force mains. The total amount for this proposal is $1,361,780 and has been budgeted for in the project funding approved by EGLE. So this will provide over the next 3 years services to oversee and administer our upcoming bond projects.
Where's the money coming from? Is this reimbursed?
This money's been budgeted for and with the bond,
Oh,
with the
so,
bonds.
okay, the bond,
So-
okay.
Do I have a motion?
I'm sorry, Tammy, what did you say? I didn't hear last week.
It's budgeted for and with the bonds in our total project of 14 million.
So the money that we had prepaid when we cashed in the investments, I thought that was for the road portion of,
That was for the design phase.
just for the design
Yes.
phase? Okay.
Yes, which Rick, I believe, mentioned in his report that he's getting that first reimbursement request together. So the minute it comes in, we can get
We
that
can
money
move that
right
back.
back.
Okay, thank you.
I would make a motion to approve the proposal for administration and observation services from Rowe Engineering in the amount of $1,361,780 even.
Support, Sutton.
Questions? Comments? This is a lot of money, but there's a lot of work involved in overseeing a project this size.
Yeah.
Last engineering firm we ended up in a lawsuit because they didn't follow through on these types of investigations and keeping track of what was going on during the construction. So it's a lot of money, but it's approximately $14 million contract.
Yes.
Project that will be ongoing. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is a real estate purchase. That was a placeholder. Do we have anything?
No, unfortunately, that will have to be moved to the next meeting.
Okay.
I would make a motion to postpone the real estate purchase and sale agreement to our next regularly scheduled communication.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Resolution 2024-22. This has to do with our issuance of bonds for the sewage treatment proposal. Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-22, the resolution to approve state revolving fund agreements and documents in connection with proposed issuance of township sewage disposal system revenue bonds, Series 2024, to evidence a state revolving fund loan.
Support, Sutton.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Questions?
So we're going to
Comments?
spend almost $15 million on more on township infrastructure?
Yes,
Isn't that exciting?
That's great.
very exciting,
Rather spend the money on it and get it fixed than have it fall apart when you need it.
because people are unhappy when they flush their toilets and it doesn't go down.
Then I'm at the top of that list. What's the, so it says we're going to pull bonds in here, and I had a couple questions about that. How do the bonds work as compared to a grant? The grant, they give us the money, the bonds we have to pay back. That's how it works, right?
Yes, but there's forgiveness and other things built into those bonds.
So we're going to take out these bonds and for about almost $15 million, we're going to fix a bunch of stuff in town. And there's a chance that some of it we may not have to repay due to grants and other funds, but there's a chance we might have to pay all of it back as well over time.
This is under the CWSRF program through the state, and they have granted, I forget the number, several $1 million in principal forgiveness.
On this one, 50% is
50%.
principal forgiveness.
Excellent.
So you have to take out the bonds for the full amount, and then at the end, you will then set up a payment for $7.5
Okay.
for $15 million worth of work, getting 50%.
So we're going to get, I'm just into the mic, we're going to get 50% of that is going to be knocked off the top, and then we pay back the remaining half.
Yeah.
Sounds like a deal.
That sounds like it, yeah.
Any other questions, comments? We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the, under other, the administrative sergeant position.
Chief Bolin. Officer Alexander's helped me tremendously in the department. He's shown a lot of, if you want to, dedication to the department. And we have, with the MCOLs and all the federal grants that we can apply for, there's an accreditation for the police department. All the police departments across the state have to have it by 2028, or else they can't. They can put in for grants, but the departments that are accredited already get priority for it. I don't know the exact dollar amount that Officer Alexander has gotten for us so far, but I think it's around $70,000 in grants, and he's got a couple more out there that we should, if we get them, would put us over $100,000. He has gone above and beyond to help the department in that aspect. The other thing is MCOLs is their training that's coming up. There's 8 hours this year that we have to have done by the end of the year. It goes to 12 hours next year and 24 hours a year after, and it's just the way they talk, it's going to keep going up. This needs to be tracked and the money found for this training. He's already had the inside track on that, trying to find it and work with colleges that provide the training. So what I did is I posted an administrative sergeant position. He was the only one that applied. After an interview, I gave him the position. I think it'll benefit the department tremendously.
Okay, thank you. I would make a motion to approve Officer Greg Alexander being promoted to the position of Administrative Sergeant for the Oscoda Police Department.
Support Sutton?
Questions, comments?
I've got several.
Okay.
Is he current or sergeant right now?
Yes.
Okay. And there are other sergeants that you have in the police department?
Yes, but they're assigned to other tasks.
I'm sorry?
They're assigned to other tasks.
Okay. A lot of the duties that it looks like that he has, I would thought would be considered something that you would be doing?
I do. I help him. He's assisting me.
Oh, okay. I know this is one of the things I questioned when we approved the contract a while back, and I was asking about it because it was like there wasn't any consequence if you demoted somebody or approving, but then you're bringing it to the board. Was there any concessions giving during that contract time?
Concessions as in?
Like you asked for things, but you gave up something?
That wasn't my contract.
I know, it's the police department's.
Yes.
So I'm asking Tammy or you or whoever would know the answer to that.
Yes, there were concessions.
Can we get a list of that, the board?
I will have to go back and look,
Okay.
but yes.
I would like to see that. And the only other question I have about that is, it'd be directed at Tammy, but is it true that the police contract was opened a year ahead of time for negotiations?
Yes, that was requested at a board meeting to open the contract to be able to add the academy to the contract.
To
So
add
yes.
what? I'm sorry, your microphone doesn't work very
It
well.
was approved by the board to open the contract when we needed to add in the academy student.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
No.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Congratulations, Sergeant Alexander.
Yes. Does a lot of work for the police department, special work with computers and everything else.
All the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. Next is the Just FOIA recommendation. I would make a motion to approve the proposal for the Just FOIA software at an initial cost of $8,312.50 for the first year, and a cost of $5,692.50 for subsequent years for the FOIA process.
Support, Sutton?
Questions? Comments? Mr. Sutton, would you like to give an explanation of exactly what this is?
Yeah.
All right, so we had it in the package here. Just FOIA brings in and helps organize. What we're dealing with now is not just FOIAs for township records, but also for police records. And this works for our compliance and how that data goes out. As we told you, we're getting the new cameras in the vehicles as well as the body camera footage. So this intakes all of that, also basically sets up a way for our FOIAs to come in and be distributed between either my office for administration FOIAs or for the police department specific for the information requested to them. And then also takes a lot of the administrative end off. It has redacting features and tons of other support, storage, helps us keep up with the FOIAs. If there's incomplete requests, it'll help do rebuttals, so reach out back to the requester. If they requested something but didn't have a date or didn't have a topic, it would try to help rebuttal back and forth and take a lot of that administrative time off of both my office and the police department, which right now is Ms. Holverson does that for the police department. And then just a lot of people don't realize, like I had talked with Trustee Spencer, when a FOIA comes in, just to review the FOIA and then get your response together and everything per FOIA is about 1 hour. And that's just your response time. So when you get a lot of them, that's what leads to a lot of the delay, is by the time you respond to all of those FOIAs, you're on day 5. So then you're sending out another email to request an extension, and you're really fulfilling that FOIA in about a 7-day window. So this just helps expedite a lot of what we're doing without having to hire additional people to either process that or put people on overtime. This will go through a lot of it and streamline the process, track it, and make sure that every FOIA request coming in is being properly handled.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
The amount is $8,000 for the first year?
Yes. Yeah, and that's your build out for the first year, so they build out, that's why I said they do your templates, your responses for everything that we do. So like FOIA camera, or like the camera footage, your regular documents, legal documents, right down to making sure your HIPAA procedures, if somebody FOIA'd an application, you have to make sure all of that's off there. And that's a lot of the stuff when we're going through there. If something like that's missed, you know, like if somebody requests an application, you can put out there certain things on there, but certain things are redacted, you wouldn't want those to get out. So in doing it in the system, it just helps us go through and make sure we're not missing anything on there, we're not sending anything out that shouldn't be released. So there's a lot of benefits in the program itself.
Yeah, I see that. Our FOIA requests have gone up dramatically. What was it like you just reported on that not too long ago, Josh? Do you happen to remember what those numbers were?
I can tell you right now, we were at 62 FOIAs so far this year.
Right, and in the past, we wouldn't even have that in a year.
No, when I went back and looked, John, a busy year would have been maybe 5 to 10. And a lot of it right now is running almost an average of 10 a month or more.
So that could change. I mean, you never know. I think that the new board should make that decision, honestly.
So this will be a software to be used by the township and the police department?
Yes.
Okay.
How many seats does it get? It's a software license, right?
You can put in as many in as you want, like if you have like a big place handling it, but
So there could be 4
we
or 5
have one
officers.
person, we have one person delegated in police, one person delegated in the township. And that's usually how it always is. That way it's one person, like the township board can pick who the FOIA coordinator is going to be. And then whoever gets that, you're handling all of that just to make sure everything's in one place and it's uniform.
Will this change the I'd call it the FOIA policy in any way?
Yes, yeah, everything will be streamlined into this. So that's the nice part, is this will actually tie into like the website, quick response. Also, if you FOIA'd something that's on the township website and already available, the software processes that and it would pull that information and it would do all those responses and everything in there. So that's why I said, just takes out a lot of that back and forth, basically mediating between the FOIA requests to see what you're looking for.
It'll return that document that was on the website?
Yeah, it'll pull it right off the website.
And send it, and basically do that for you?
Yes.
That's awfully intelligent, okay. You said it'll update the FOIA policy. Do you have a proposal for what the FOIA policy would become? We talked about, I couldn't find it on demand, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's what we would be working on if this is approved.
I see.
That would come back to the board for approval of the policy itself, and then when in place, that would operate, the software would operate under those rules, so.
I see. And I'm actually not familiar with FOIA software, so were there other vendors, other types of products out there?
There's other ones out there, but this one, we reached out to because they're specific on police end and making sure they meet the data qualifications for handling the police data. So that was a big portion, is they need certain stuff like any of your police files, records, stuff like that, case records. So that all, and basically like right now, so if you request a FOIA digitally and that's going through email, the police can't do that at all. Right. Nothing can be sent through email unless it's already encrypted, and really with a lot of the issues on the township end and people trying to get into your municipal emails and accounts, that'll also protect us, just another layer of protection to make sure nobody's getting in there and getting things they're not supposed to.
I see. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Josh, how does it handle records that are not within township control, as Mr. Cummins uses an email not of our government domain?
So the nice thing, because they're used to handling that, is they already have, like going out, if somebody requested that information, going right to the actual company that would have that information. So a lot like issues in the past, if we have a contractor using or something, if we're going through them, they can issue that request right out. And that is something they would do upon receiving that FOIA request. They would initiate with, say, Microsoft or Google or
whoever has the server.
Any other questions? Comments? All right.
Where's that money going to come from?
It'll be 50/50 from each, I would imagine. Half from police, half from the general fund.
Starting with the new budget, or will we have to do an appropriation for that for the rest of the year?
It depends. I don't know when this is getting implemented, so if it needs appropriation, I guess that'll have to come back to the board.
Okay, any other questions? There's a motion by Mr. Palmer, supported by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Worcesterbart?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
No?
Mr. Cummings?
No.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next up is the extension of the superintendent resignation. I would like to make a motion to approve the extension of the superintendent resignation date from August 2nd, 2024 to August 12th of 2025, with continuation of full wages and benefits per contract.
Support, Worcester Barth.
Did I say 25?
You did say 25. I was just,
Oh, no.
like, that's an
No
awful
way.
long time.
That's wishful thinking on my part. Till August 12th of 2024.
So a 10-day extension.
Re-support, Worcester Barth.
So the only problem I have about the extension is the full pay and full benefits, because Ms. Klein's been busy, I'm sure, doing both jobs, doing, I don't know, whatever, but she's gone like afternoon every day, so. And I know I haven't been able to reach you about the cost recovery thing, which is why.
One email. that I
One
missed.
email, but
Just
plenty,
one.
months and months of talking back and forth and asking at a board meeting.
And I told you I wasn't ready the last time you asked me, so. And trust me, I work all the time. It doesn't matter if it's 7 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning. So,
Right. But
and I do have sick time, and I have been using it because I've needed it, not that you need to know that. Yes.
Any other questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
no,
Mr. Cummings?
No.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next up is the EIC vacancy. We have Mr. Dave Carmona application you'll see in your packet. I would make a motion to approve Dave Carmona to the EIC for the term ending in December 31st of 2026.
support.
Motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Ms. McGuire. Questions, comments? I would just like to mention that we have other board positions that are also open. We also need an alternate on the EIC. I believe we have an opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I believe we have an opening on the Senior Housing Board Committee. So anyone that might be interested in some of these other board positions, please let me know. Applications are available on the website. You can fill those out and get them into us. Questions on this EIC position? Questions or comments? Mr. Kimona? Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes,
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Congratulations, Mr. Carmona. Next is the position for the Planning Commission vacancy. I would make a motion to approve Thomas Rudicelli to the Planning Commission for a term ending December 31st, 2025.
support.
Any questions, comments? He will be replacing, the reason for the difference in term is he's replacing someone that resigned, so he'll take up that term, which would end in 2025. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes,
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
No.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Motion passed. Next is the question on the fire recovery.
okay, so in April of 2023, Mr. Palmer, Mr. Sutton, myself, and Tammy met with the fire department and the fire chief to sit down and go over their requests for different things, for clothing, more money for fire run, and this has been an ongoing discussion for a long time. We used some money from the ARPA money and marijuana money and different things, sources like that that are not reoccurring, that to get the ball rolling. And so Tammy worked really hard on the cost recovery and getting all that set up, and the ordinance and the cost recovery plan, which is resolution 2023-10. And that was passed on May 8th. Several months ago, Al McGregor and myself were talking, and he asked about it, and I asked about it, and I know I've mentioned it at our finance meeting, because all of us were there talking with the fire department and how important it was to see where we were at with the recovery, to see how we were going to be with the fire budget for this year, because it's a lot of money that we were putting out, and I wanted to see where we were if we were breaking even, if we were 50%, where we were at. And the police chief, or the fire chief was wondering the same thing because he needed to be able to do his budget too. So every time we pass each other in the hallway, has anybody heard anything? I'm like, I've mentioned it to Tammy, I've mentioned it to Bill, we've talked about it and nothing. I asked at a couple board meetings, probably over the last 4 board meetings now, and then I've asked in an email and no response. So Al asked me again today, and so I asked him for the information. Literally took him about an hour to send it to me, and in the resolution, it talks about it should be updated annually, so we're already overdue for that. And it also talks about, and I sent all the board a copy, so they have it, so this is not, they had a chance to look at it, I hope. Hereby, that the cost to be used to assist the superintendent in determining the amount of accessible cost for public safety and fire emergency responses. So, and if there was something that was outside of this that was complete neglect, then she would need to meet with the fire chief to break down those costs. So I asked Al if Tammy had ever had to meet with him, and he said that she hasn't met with him at all.
Yes.
So I asked Josh today, have we received any reimbursements? Because the only things I can see were 3 things that the fire chief had turned into him for the big fire out on River Road, and then one other one for Consumers Energy that he had them bill for. So that's the only cost recovery that we've had. In the reports, there are at least 20 different incidences that could be billed for. So hopefully Tammy will have time to get that. I've highlighted most of them, and I'd be happy to share them. I don't know if any of them you need to sit down and talk with Al McGregor about. But yeah, after talking to Josh, there was only 3. And I did receive the money for those 3.
So I have not had the only interaction that I have had with Alan McGregor, which I find it weird that he would go to you and not to me. There's one
He had
time.
discussions with you about, I wasn't there, so.
No, he and I discussed it one time, which is what I went to Josh immediately after he and I discussed it to see where we were at. Before you brought it up, and I believe it was 2 meetings instead of 4, but who's counting? He should have approached me and not you, outside chain of command. Let's go there.
Well, whatever, Tammy.
Because
I'm not
I
gonna
am
argue
his
that.
boss.
I felt like that the board and the public needed to know where we stood with this resolution, because we are working on the budget for 25.
And we were working on that. And
Yeah,
he and I have
well,
been
that's
over
fine.
his budget on exactly that, and he said this year, we are doing much better. Instead of a $200,000 budget, we are now down to $70,000, which hasn't been presented yet because we haven't had that budget work session yet.
I'm well aware
So
of
he
that.
and I have had one conversation. He came to me one time, and he should have come to me if there was an issue after that. There's a problem there with people going to you and not to the person who is in charge of
I
that.
was part of that committee, and I wanted the results myself too, and I was tired of waiting.
So it was you asking him, not him asking
We
you?
both were talking to each other.
Because I do have another side to that story.
Well, that's
So
fine. I mean, he
it was
asked
you
me-
asking him, not him asking you.
He came to me and said, how much money have we received? I do the cash receipting. I told him, and he said there should be a lot more money than that.
Well, the person that invoices, you think he would actually ask Josh?
That was not my, I went and asked Josh what was invoiced, and he told me
So
3 things have been invoiced in over a year.
there's more than 3.
Yeah, 3 was just Coletta.
You told me 3. You said 2 in 2003 and 1 for this year.
No, you asked me about.
There's a
the
lot
I
Coletta
said for,
invoices.
no, I asked you for cost recovery. Don't change the story.
I'm not changing the story.
Whatever.
Glad my deputy was there again today.
Good, I'll ask her. I don't have to ask her.
So is some motion or something here you need?
No, I just wanted to let the board know that we still need to invoice for about 20 different invoices. I don't even know if we can still do that or not.
So we need that information from the fire chief.
Correct. You can have it.
From my understanding, we had invoiced for everything he had asked for. In the beginning, when we first started this process, no one knew that we needed 2 separate reports because they were all being turned in to the deputy clerk and not the clerk. Shelley doesn't invoice, Josh does. So they were slipping through that way. So we had to start over and make sure there was a process of 2 separate reports that went in. One for Josh's side to bill and one for Shelley to pay the firemen. So there was a rough start in the beginning, from what I understand, from what I was told, and we have since straightened that out. And according to Mr. Sutton, he had sent out quite a few invoices, namely one that I got a phone call on to ask why we were invoicing them. So I know they went out. I just don't know all the details yet.
Mr. Palmer, I don't think we had a motion on the floor, so I'm kind of questioning why we're even discussing
No,
this.
it's not a motion.
So I guess if not,
There's a
all the
conversation.
players are not in the same room, I'd recommend that we postpone this to a later date when we have every player in the room to talk to the board.
Well, I think this will come up under the work session with the fire department. This can be addressed.
Most
at that
definitely.
point.
Absolutely.
I made a motion, is there a second?
Support.
What was the motion?
The motion was to postpone this until all the players involved are in the same room to discuss with the board.
Which would be at the work session, budget work session?
I just have postponed date to be determined.
It was a motion
As
by
long as all the
Mr.
players are in the room.
Mr.
Yeah, that's great.
Westerbarth. Who supported that?
I did.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. It has been postponed. Next up is the salary range for the prospective new superintendent. I spoke with the recruiter, and that is the one thing they need to have right away. So I will make a motion to approve a salary range for the recruitment of new superintendent of $120,000 to $140,000.
Support, Sutton?
That's as long as they meet the criteria, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions, comments? I sent out the information that the recruiter sent. He sent it in on Friday, but it was almost 5 o'clock and everyone had gone home, so it didn't get included in the packet. But I called and talked to him, and this was the one thing he really needed, was the salary range to put that packet together. He also informed me that for the cost of submitting on the various sites, they had projected $2,500 it would cost in cost. It's only going to be about $900, so there'll be some savings there. And the other thing you'll notice in that packet is if we want them to do a formal job description kind of a thing, they would do that. That would be outside of the scope of what they had normally, but it would be 2 to 4 hours at, I believe, $150 an hour. So with the savings on the $2,500, if we do choose to have them write that up, we would still be under budget for what they projected. But for tonight, we're just voting on that salary range. That's really all he needs right now. And so, any questions about that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. The next item I wanted to put on was to try and nail down our next budget work session date. I talked to Mr. Sutton. This week is pretty busy with the elections coming up. Our last one was on a Friday. Everybody said that Fridays aren't good, but I thought if we did it in the morning or early afternoon on Friday or earlier in the week.
I'd like to recommend that we do it on the day of a board meeting in the afternoon or morning.
We have finance
August 12th.
meeting at 10 a.m., so
We
we
can
can't do
make
that.
time for a work session if it works for the majority of the people on the
It
board.
doesn't for me on Mondays because that's one of our busiest days.
I'd like to hear from everybody else on the board.
So the next board meeting would be on the 12th of August?
Yeah, and I'd like to have a work session before that.
And you proposed a Friday, Bill? Is that right? Bill,
Yes.
you proposed a Friday?
Well, the last work session we had was on a Friday.
Yeah.
And I know we discussed at our finance meeting, and people
Tammy said it's not good for her mostly either.
aren't crazy about Fridays, but I thought if we do it early in the day on Friday, you know, I wouldn't want to schedule it for, 4 o'clock on Friday or something
Right,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But maybe in the morning on Friday or some other day. I'm open whatever days. I'd just like to get going on this budget.
Right.
And we've only had one work session so far.
Right.
And the next one will be the police and fire, which is usually a big one, so.
Well, I'm good for this coming Friday. I'm good for the following Friday. I mean, Friday, if Friday wants to be entertained. Friday morning would be fine.
This week, you're not good.
Yeah, that'd be
No for
difficult.
this Friday.
I can do morning on Friday. I've just been scheduling my doctor's appointments in the afternoon, and
Okay.
a lot of them have been on the last 2 Fridays, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody can, I can do Friday, this Friday morning.
This Friday morning, could we do this coming Friday
Yeah.
at, what time, 10 o'clock
Sure.
at Warrior Pavilion?
Well, I do have to schedule those with the chiefs too, so unless you don't care if they're there.
What's that?
I do have to make sure I can schedule with the chiefs too,
Okay.
unless you don't care if they're there.
Well, if he wants his money.
That's fine.
It is super short notice, that's all I'm saying, but, I mean, I will do my very best.
Okay, all right. And do you want to propose an alternate date
The next Friday?
for like next Monday? It's a
Monday's
not
fine,
board
too.
meeting day.
I don't have a problem with Mondays either.
Oh, Monday, you said Mondays aren't good. Mondays are
really bad
busy
for
at
us.
Township
They're
Hall.
really busy.
The following Tuesday?
Give me a moment.
No, that's election day.
No.
Yeah, that's the day of the election.
Election day.
Next
yeah,
week's
probably not
all
Wednesday
next
for
week.
them either.
Oh, you said the following, I thought we were already talking
No,
about next week.
next week.
Okay.
So July 30th.
What?
That would be July 30th.
Yes.
I'm not available on that day.
And you're looking at morning, okay, the all day, Bob?
I have I guess I could maybe squeeze one in the morning, but I have a housing commission meeting that day.
Okay. Well, I was suggesting that for an alternate in case either the police chief or the fire chief couldn't make Friday.
Right.
We'll make the alternate the following Friday.
The following Friday in the morning?
On the 2nd?
Yeah.
August
Not
2nd?
available.
That's actually a good day.
Okay.
Okay.
Our Thursday is good for anybody then.
So do I have a motion
Okay.
for this coming Friday?
Yeah,
Make
that's
a
fine.
motion, we schedule a work session upon approval of the department head's availability for 10 a.m.
July
Friday,
26th.
this coming Friday.
26th.
26th.
Support Cummings.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
No.
Mr. Cummings?
Oh, I didn't know. Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wushtabar?
No.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes,
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Motion passed. We will try and get the two chiefs together this Friday. Okay. That concludes our business. Next is the final public comment. I ask that you come to if you have a comment, come to the podium, state your name for the record. Anyone have a comment?
Pam Lovelace of Oscoda CEO of PKL Cares, a community-based nonprofit formed in March of 2023. Just wanted to give a community update. PKL Cares Food Pantry is open Saturday. Our first distribution will be Saturday from 10 to noon. We'll be distributing and serving 50 households in Oscoda. It's the first live food pantry in our county, which means that we'll be providing produce, meat, and dairy. It's important that we're distributing a balanced diet to our community. It's very important to us because Iosco County is number 13 out of 50 in the state for the highest food insecurity rate. Our rate is 16.1%. Our children's rate is 20.1%, and we are 50% over the national average. So food insufficiency is an issue in our area, particularly as one of our community partners, NEMSCA, is no longer providing their free food distribution services to our pantries. So we are partnering with Eastern Michigan Food Bank to purchase our food, and we are also partnering with our area farmers to purchase our food. We don't accept food donations. We accept monetary donations through our nonprofit PayPal account, so we can actually choose the food that we're giving out to the community. So we have a ribbon cutting at 10, and it is a drive-through food pantry. Secondarily, our PKL Cares Infant and Toddler Child Care Center grand opening will be the following Sunday from 2 to 4. Both locations are the same, 761 South State Street. And that grand opening, we will be serving 30 to 42 infants and toddlers in our area. That's really crucial because they are the demographic that is hardest to place for care. So we will be serving the full community, and no parent will be left behind because of income. We will be taking DHS, we will be taking Michigan Buy Share, as well as regular cash payment. So just wanted to let you know that PKL Cares is following our initiative of child care food insufficiency, and in 2025, we attack housing. I want to say a special thank you to Walmart for the grant to get us started with our first distribution. And we are going after additional grant monies to support these issues in Oscoda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment, have a comment? Yes.
Hello, my name is Palma Leonati, and I am the new Chamber of Commerce for Director for Asabo and Oscoda. And I just wanted to let you know that it's a little bit different from what we had before. I know when George was your director here, he did both events as well as dealt with membership, operations. What they've done now is they've kind of split it up, and now they have a director, and we also have an event coordinator, and that event coordinator is Jessica Bravata. So that's going to be really great for us in the sense of I'll be able to focus on our members and our community, where she's going to focus on our events and give that, you know, it can be challenging to do both things and spread yourself out, and so that way they'll be handled, you know, with a lot more, you know, paying attention to things. For myself, my goal is to really focus on membership, increasing membership retention. You know, Nancy, you made a comment earlier about listening. Listening is really going to be my main focus, listening and communication. I think that's vital in our community. I've had the opportunity to sit and be a part of committees that are throughout the community, and everybody has the same purpose. They want to do something good that's for the community. And personally, what I see is that there's some silos that are there. And I'd like to be able to bring those silos together because we all seem to be wanting to do the exact same thing. So why not do it all together? So for me, that's my goal in that. I mentioned membership is important to me, and it's also in listening not just to our members, but our non-members as well, because they are a part of the community. So that'll also be a focus for me. And it's, yes, there's office time and all of that, but for me, it's more face-to-face and door-to-door and getting out and being a part of the community and seeing what everybody has going on and how I can help them. In the past, I know there have been networking events. I look to bring some of those networking events back, as well as provide some educational webinars or sessions. We're looking in November to be able to do, for lack of a better word, a conference for our existing members. There's some things that we need to address that are in our bylaws that members actually need to vote on. So we'll be bringing that up, and that'll be really the first time in a long time that we've had those type of meetings. I think, in the past they did some quarterlies. We'll look to do that as well and bringing that back because I think people want to be heard and see some different action. So just wanted to share that. I know it's the two townships. Just so you know, I live in both townships in my house. Apparently, I live on Division Street. So I'm the lucky one that if you ask what township I'm in both. So and I'm proud to be that. So I just wanted to say hello, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck. Anyone else? Other comments?
It's kind of crooked. Okay. First, happy birthday, Jamie.
Would you state your name, please, for the record?
Deborah Rauch. First, we've mentioned this before, we can't hear you in the back because you guys are talking, you're not talking into the microphones. A lot of times you're talking to looking down the table at someone and it's very hard to hear you. Let's see. I was wondering about that superintendent salary. That seems like it's quite a big raise. And I know I'd like to know if that's like comparable to other small towns such as this, or it just seems like it's a huge jump from what we're paying right now. Let's see, what else do I have to do? Let's see. I got a text while you guys were talking about the sergeant issue. It seems like back in, I'm trying to remember all this, but that a while ago there was something about the sergeant's test, and that was eliminated or something from the police department. They didn't have to take it, and I'm not sure if that's a normal procedure. I know in the military, in order to progress in rank, you usually have to test, and I don't know if that's how it goes in the police department, so I was just curious about that. If these people that are being promoted and, up the chain, if they're actually testing for this, or if it's just by the board just decides to promote them, or how that works. So I was kind of interested in that. My last comment is going to be, I see, like tonight, Jamie had some questions, and she has every right to ask questions, and that's part of her job on the board, to ask questions. And I do not understand the disrespect that she's been shown. And I'm not standing here trying to take up, stick up for Jamie. I mean, I've known Jamie for a long time. We weren't like buddies or anything in school. I've known of her and I knew her family and stuff. But I would say that if any of you were talked to that way on this board, that I saw that she was talked to tonight, I would say, why? And I would ask the supervisor why he didn't intervene and say something. Nobody should be disrespected that way. Nobody. None of you. And I don't understand why nobody ever says anything when these things happen. I don't think any of you would like to be talked to that way. I think what Tammy said was like if it was any of your business or something, or you needed to know that, or she does need to know. If she has a question, she does need to know that. And she deserves a respectful answer. That's part of the problem with this township, is that the disrespect that a lot of people in the administration and some people on this board show to taxpayers and citizens and other board members. And to me, it's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Feedback.
Dave Carmona, resident. Wanted to thank the board for approving my application to be on the EIC. I look forward to serving in that position on the board and working with Nancy. I do have one question, reference just FOIA. Who is going to digitize all the information? I may have overlooked it in the package that was in the agenda package, but I did not see in there where the paper documentation was going to be digitized. Who's going to do that so that the system works? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, next. Ms. Klein, did you have any comments?
I would like to address Ms. Rauch's comment about me being disrespectful to Ms. McGuire. If you took it that way, this is how I talk. So Ms. McGuire could have mentioned her concern over me not being there, not at a public meeting. That was something that did not need to be here in a public meeting. You don't know my business, and if she would have asked me at work or called me, I would have gladly told her. But this is not the place to smear me and say I haven't been at work when you don't know what's going on. So it wasn't disrespectful. What's disrespectful is to bring someone's personal things into a meeting and not ask them when she very well this morning could have asked me right to my face. So, but I know where you lie, so there's that. That's all.
Okay. Next, board comment. Mr. Westerbarth.
Yes, Mr. Palmer. I would like on the next work session or agenda. I would like on the next work session or agenda, I'd like to get a report from the last year of your finance committee meetings with you, the superintendent, Ms. McGuire, Mr. Sutton. I'd like to know how it goes. I'm hearing different things about things being held up, and I'd really like to understand from your point of view on what the successes were and what the failures are. So I'd like that on the next work session or agenda. And we're still, Tammy, we need the appropriation on the next agenda for the library pay increase. That's it.
Mr. Taser?
I'd just like to mention that I keep hearing about the not being able to hear in the back. There's a whole bunch of seats up here in the front that may be more accommodating to hear better. I myself have 2 hearing aids. I would prefer to sit in the back of the room, but most of the time I find out that I have to sit in the front. So I see 5 rows right here with nobody in them, so I think that may help solve that problem. I would also like to say that Oscoda Township has been recognized in our zoning reform stories and studies book. This was just sent in the mail. And there's a whole section in here that this goes back to the to the zoning reform toolkit that was put out through MISTA, through housing. Housing is a big issue here. And this report is come out through MAPS, through MISTA about housing and how communities attack that type of problem. So it's very good that we've been recognized in that. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Ms. McGuire.
First, I guess I will address Ms. Roush's comment. I wasn't smearing you, Tammy. It was an observation that you weren't in the building half the day anymore. None of my business. I mean, just that I noted that you weren't there, that's all. Not trying to smear you. It's a fact that you were not there. As far as the cost recovery thing that I brought up, I read right from the resolution the facts. I checked with Josh, and Josh, sorry to say, I really don't know how you sleep at night because your BS is ridiculous. But what you said is Coletta. It's not Coletta. It's for the Oats fire from the Forest Service and 2 from Consumers Energy that we've been billed and that we're received for. Nothing to do with Coletta. Just bringing it to the attention because I wanted the information. I was part of that group that sat down there, and it's important to find out the facts. And if it's not happening, and I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just saying it's not happening and it needs to happen. We need to get the process down and make it happen. We're missing out on money. And it's simple. I didn't point a finger at you, didn't say it was your fault at all. I just said, this is where we're at. I've been asking for this information and I haven't gotten it. And I have to sit here and laugh because Mr. Wisterbrock down here is going, I want on the next agenda. I have never sat up here and said that, but I'll be goddamn if his isn't going to be on the next agenda. But mine, I've been waiting for months and I don't get anything.
Anything else?
Nope.
Mr. Cummings?
I just want to say thank you very much for coming tonight. We got a bunch of people in the audience. Please vote on August 6th, and I hope that Josh talks about early voting options. Thank you.
Mr. Spencer?
No, thank you.
The one time you don't want to talk.
Oh, if you want to pry it out of me. You know, this country was built on discord. We are going to disagree, but the amount of disrespect coming from all sides of everyone is sickening. I mean, we're to the point that we're calling prospective employers and trying to get people's futures destroyed. That's what it's come to? You have got to be kidding me. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Sun?
I'd just like to remind everyone we do have the election coming up. Early voting is held at Oscoda Township on M55 for the entire county for all precincts. And they are open from 9 until 5 for early voting down there. You also have the option of absentee, which a lot of people have made use of. All absentee ballots have been sent out. So if you were planning on absentee and haven't received it, they did change things last year after we told you didn't have to submit an application form. Then we had to submit one earlier this year. If you want to get one permanently, make sure you mark permanent on there, and then you won't have to fill out another one unless there is a question like February where you have to pick a ballot based on party, and then you'll receive those permanently, or you can request them specifically for elections that you won't be available to come and vote for. If you have any questions, please call the clerk's office, 989-739-3211. And for anybody interested in the process, tomorrow at 12:30 will be our public accuracy test for testing the tabulators.
Is that it?
Oh, and welcome, Mr. Carmona. Looking forward to having you on the EIC.
Thank you. I don't have a comment. I would like to thank Ms. Klein for extending her resignation date. Thank you. We talked. We have a lot going on right now, and I think an additional 10 days will help us. It will get us through the next board meeting and through some of the issues we have to work through. I don't know exactly how we're going to manage after August 12th when she leaves, but I guess we'll figure it out. So with that,